You see, hakuna kitu mbaya kama kuwa broke. I mean, seriously, I really hate that thing with passion. And I know everyone ukimtajia jina kuwa broke, they get the goosebumps. It's the worst thing. But what if I tell you if you can have some signs to indicate that, hey, you're actually getting yourself into that thing? That would be the best thing that you can ever do, so that at least you take precautions zenye zinahitajika before you get yourself into being broke. Now, this is a continuation of, or rather the part 2 of what I posted earlier before. All right, if you'd like to watch the previous video, you can check on the older videos and you get that to see that video. Now, today I'm going to share with you 3 signs za ukianza, or 3 stages ukianza kuwa broke. What are these things that actually unaweza ziona uziangalie useme, hey, this is the sign number 1, 2, 3, and therefore if I continue like this, then I'm going to get myself into a messy state. All right, so let's get into the business. But before we do that, allow me to remind you this. I do post a video each and every day talking about things like this: investments, making money, and all those kind of things. All right, so if you don't want to miss any of my good videos in the future, do this. Doesn't cost you anything, it's free of charge. Down below there on your right, there is a small button written subscribe. Hit that magical button, turn that notification bell, and like this video. By only doing that, guess what? A whole YouTube will notify you whenever I upload a new good video. Doesn't cost you anything. Just hit that like button, just like that. As simple as that, right? So let's get into the business. Now, this is the point. Now, what is the very first stage that you need to look into before actually you get yourself into a problem or into a situation whereby, hey, you're running out of money, all right? Now, the very first sign is that you are in a state that we call it unrealized. You're actually very innocent. Hey, my camera is showing. You're actually very innocent in this, and this face, we say that it's an innocent face, and all seems okay, but they are not. Now, this is a situation whereby whenever me or any other somebody who is out there who is a financial advisor tells you, hey, I think you're not doing the right thing because, hey, you are earning a good amount of money. How much do you manage to save? No, you don't save nothing. And then I ask you, fine, do you have a track of how you use your money? No, I do not. Like, okay, fine. Like, what percentage do you use in terms of your rent? Well, I paid 8,500. That's all I know. And my question is this now: how much is that in terms of percentage? Because we always say, hey, you're not supposed to pay over 30% of your total income towards paying your rent. You're like, I don't know how much is that. And then I ask you, how much goes for your transport? Well, I mean, like, seriously, you see, the point is this: all seems okay. You are eating, you're dressing. Probably if you have family or kids, you're taking them to school. Everything seems okay. But the question is this: if you want to know that things are not okay, if I tell you that's where you usually get your money at the end of the month, day, or the week, if it was to be cut, let's say if you get it at every month, if it was to be cut, will you be able to survive the next month? That's the question. And if yes, then how many months can you be able to sustain yourself? If you do not get that salary today, then will you be able to sustain yourself? Will you eat, drink, dress, and do all other things? If the question is definitely no, then that tells you you're actually on a blink of getting yourself to the brokenness. And that means that if something happens, can you just imagine this? If you were to close your eyes and imagine this: we had a very horrible year, 2020. COVID showed up. We were never prepared. We never saw it coming. All right, and we kind of say, hey, that's a problem with China, it cannot even reach to us and all those kind of things. Guess what? It was here with us and actually led a lot of people into being fired, and jobs were cut and those kind of things. And people learned their lessons. Okay, now the point is this: now, if you seem or everything seems okay, everything is running smooth, but you do not have what we call, you don't have what we call the emergency funds. You see, you're supposed to have emergency fund. They usually say at least 4 to 6 months. You know, you're supposed to have at least money that can sustain you in that period of time. So if you do not have that, then con yourself, you're on a blink of getting yourself. It's like you're sitting on fence. You can fall into either. All right, and that would be very, very dangerous. So the very first stage is actually not realizing anything. Everything seems okay, everything seems wow, you're running, everything is good. But if something shows up, then you can get yourself into a messy state. And this is the thing that I would love you to do at this particular stage. Number 1, actually get yourself into savings. Get to save some cash that you make at the end of the month or the day or the week. How much is it? At least 20% of it. What do I mean? Like, if you make 10 shillings, at least save 2 shillings. All right, if you save that thing, okay, once savings, we save for the purpose of raising the capital to invest. All right, also get yourself something that we call the emergency fund. And don't confuse the savings with the emergency fund. The emergency fund, we usually say it's a money that is set aside in liquid form, not for the purposes of investment, but for purposes of actually meeting the daily needs that you may have, or they may crop up unexpectedly. And also good to have something called sinking fund. Sinking fund ni nini? Sinking fund ni zile pesa ambao unaweka kando, una anticipate kwa muda fulani utapata kitu fulani ambayo utahitaji pesa. Kwa mfano, say uko na bibi ama mke ambaye ni mjamzito, kwa hiyo unatarajia baada ya miezi 6 atapata mtoto, kwa hivyo pesa zitahitajika, so una save for that purpose. You get the thing? So emergency fund hujui nini itakuja, but for the sinking fund you already know what will come. Okay? Ni vizuri kugawisha pesa zako ujue that kind of a thing, right? So let's get to the second point. Now the second stage, now you come to a stage where it is called confused and unaccountable money spendings. Now this is that stage now you realize, I think, and this is where we now start saying that the self-conscious now is starting to work. It's by the way, at this particular point you are dead consciously. Your conscience is not even working, everything seems okay, you are throwing parties and what have you. But once now you come to the second stage, you now ask yourself, whenever now the logic starts to kick in, the logic and the conscience starts to kick in, and you ask yourself, wow, I got paid on 5th. Well, I got paid on 5th. I had like 25,000. I had 100,000. Now I have 10. Now I have 12. Now I have nothing. Now what's happening? I mean, seriously, you take a pen and paper. You try to, scheme around and try to see, monitor where your money went. What did I spend my money on? And what did I do? What did I not do? What am I going wrong? Where is the problem? Where is the issue? Where is my money? And all those kind of things. And if you try to track all your money, you can actually be able to track all the money went, but all the areas where your money went actually is not even savings. It's not on the things that actually captures your future investments and what have you. You're actually wondering now, fine, yes, I can actually be able to trace my money, but where is it? Is it an area where I can say it's quite a worthy area where my money is? So now at this particular stage, this is where the people now starting asking themselves, hey, now I don't know where my money is going. I think I'm actually being paid less because I do not have anything in my pocket. I'm actually contemplating getting an advance. I don't know what I should do. I think I should consult a financial advisor and all those kind of things. Now at this particular point is where majority of the people are in before they actually slip into being broken, such kind of a things. So at this particular point, and you find if you're not responsible enough, you start hanging blames on people and telling them, hey, I think it's my partner who is stealing the money. I think my partner has a problem with managing the cash. I think I'm having too much responsibility on the table. I think it's because of the black tax and what have you and all those kind of things. So at this particular stage where you are confused and you cannot be able to account for your spendings, we usually say this is actually the signs that you can actually turn yourself into either side. You can actually rectify yourself and go back to the standing whereby, I mean when I say standing, I mean like you get yourself to that situation whereby you are now stable, like everything is good, you fall there, everything falls into place. Or you can actually ignore this particular stage. You can assume, hey, everyone is complaining, it is because of the economy, the government is doing what they're supposed to do. Hey, what can I do? I'm just a single individual and all those kind of things. And by the time you realize, you spill to being broke and what have you and all those kind of things. So at this particular stage is the most important stage that I would advise you. When you realize that you cannot be able to track your money, this is the time to incorporate budgeting in your life. This is the time to actually sitting down with pen and paper and skim down or draft a budget that really works for you. All right, even if it means you as a man going to the kitchen, or not to cook rather, but to understand exactly how much goes towards that section. Because hey, in Africa we say, hey, men should not go to kitchen or what have you. So it's always good to understand, hey, if I get 10 G's at the end of the month, everything is sorted as far as the kitchen is concerned. If I get like 2,000, my electricity and water is sorted. If I get 3,000 or 4,000, my transport is sorted. If I get maybe let's say 2,000, and if I have a Wi-Fi in the house, of which it has to mean that I usually use something constructive with that Wi-Fi means. So you get what I'm saying? You have to sit down with pen and paper and budget for everything that you usually utilize in your house. At that particular point, you can be able to monitor some of the loopholes that where your money is actually going. Also sit down and actually capture the information of, hey, I actually support my family members, which is called the black tax. Now, how much am I sending them? Right? At what frequency do they need my money? Therefore, you monitor that. Fine. I usually drink and go to enjoy with my friends and what have you. Now, how much do I use? Do I actually have a budget on that? And when do I actually go out? And when I go, how much do I get? All those kind of things. You actually monitor all that information. And that particular point, hey, whenever the money shows up next time, I've already have a stipulated budget. 10K will go towards paying my food, 15K will go towards paying my rent, 5K will go towards my transport, 2K will go towards my black tax, 6K will go towards tithe if you're paying tithe, 7K will go towards, hey, let's say savings, or all those kind of things. At least you already know all the areas are actually filled. At that particular point, we say, hey, you're moving on the right direction. I've actually spent a little bit time on this particular stage because this is the most crucial stage, and this is where I usually receive a lot of calls from guys. I get myself into this, I don't know how I can get myself, am I moving on the right direction, and all those kind of things. So at that particular point, kindly guys, monitor this stage. It's the most crucial one. All right, let's say things happen, the BS happened, and then you spill over and got yourself to the third stage. At this particular third stage, we say that you have inadequate or lack of basic needs. And let me tell you one thing, broke and actually poverty starts with you not meeting your basic needs. What are the basic needs? The food, the shelter, and the clothing. Whenever you find yourself, you're not able to pay the house rent. Whenever you find yourself, you're not able to actually have what we call the so-called the 3-course meal in a day, all right? If you cannot be able to sustain that, then it means even if you get yourself in a stage whereby you're not even able to buy clothing and what have you, at that particular stage, we say you are on the third stage, all right? In this particular stage, you find yourself borrowing. And guess what? The most dangerous thing that you can do in this stage is to borrow, because you're actually borrowing, not because you have the potential of paying back this amount of money. You're borrowing to pay your rent, you're borrowing to pay the school fees, and all those are consumables. You're borrowing to actually go ahead and buy food. You're borrowing to actually go there and maybe, you're actually borrowing to pay what we call the consumables. Consumables are the things that do not generate income. Therefore, if you actually channel that money into the consumables and you're required not only to pay that money, but that money with another one on top of that, then how will you get yourself out of the ditch? Because it's like you realize you're already in a ditch, but you keep on digging because you've borrowed and you know very well you do not have the hope or the capacity or the ability to actually repay this money and an interest on top of it. So you're gonna get yourself into a messy situation, and this is where now you get yourself into a situation whereby you are declared bankrupt because, hey, the amount of money people are being or you are being asked, okay, it's way above that what you can actually repay back. You're declared bankrupt, and at that particular point, I am telling you, my friend, things have gone out of your control and you're declared, or you consider yourself broke. Hey, guess what? It all has a procedure and has the stages. So if you can be able to cut your thing all the way from the beginning, when you have unrealized expenditures and what have you, when you take care from the first stage that I did share with you, by the time you reach here, everything will be good. But if you ignore what I've just said, then it's not a question of if, but when you're actually gonna get yourself into broke. That marks the end of my good video. All right, so anyway, if you would like to get a conversation with me at a personal level, do this. Doesn't cost you anything. Grab my number from the description of this specific video, give me a call or a text. I offer these services at a personal level, obviously at a cup of coffee's price. I do also have booklets about investments, be it shares, money market fund, treasury bills, bonds, and what have you, or circles. I do have them. A copy goes for only 280 Kenyan shillings. For now, it's a goodbye and see you in the next one.